As COVID-19 vaccines continue to be administered, state leaders are easing more restrictions. That's good news for local businesses, but that doesn't mean things are back to normal. After a year of turmoil, many companies are still in crisis mode. From overdue rent to forcing health guidelines and changing consumer habits, businesses continue to adjust to the evolving situation. We'll hear how they're managing to stay open. Tonight's live broadcast and live stream of insights on PBS Hawaii start now.
Aloha, and welcome to Insights on PBS Hawaii. I'm Daryl Huff. For the first time in over a year, a sense of normalcy seems to be developing as vaccines are distributed. But despite the rollback of restrictions, local businesses are vulnerable and need support. Across the country, small and medium-sized retailers are still closing, while larger corporations seem to have been able to bounce back or even flourish. Some of our losses include longtime Hawaii favorites like Monterey Bay Canners, Liki Liki Drive-In, and most recently, Love's Bakery. Our panel tonight will look at the lingering threats to business livelihoods, as well as the optimistic path forward. We look forward to your participation in tonight's show. You can email, call, or tweet your questions, and you'll find a live stream of this program at pbshawaii.org and the PBS Hawaii Facebook page. Now to our guests. Tina Yamaki is the president of the Retail Merchants Association of Hawaii. She has more than 30 years' experience with nonprofit organizations, community relations, and government affairs. From the Valley Isle, Pamela Tumpap is the president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce. The organization is comprised of businesses of various sizes from all sectors and areas of the island. Greg Maples is the board chairman of the Hawaii Restaurant Association. The organization represents and supports more than 3,500 local restaurants and food service locations. And Debbie Au Chick Hopkins is the co-owner of Global Village in Kailua. She, along with her sister and mother, created the local boutique in 1995. The small business has about 15 employees. And Debbie, I'd like to start the first question with you. Just tell me where you were when you found out, you're a boutique, right? So you probably were forced to just shut down when they did the first closure. Is that right? And what was that like for you?
We were. It was like a whirlwind. We had a semblance that it was coming because my sister's children were traveling for a sports event and they self-quarantined because things were rolling really quickly on the mainland and nothing had been done here at the moment. So we were kind of gearing up for it, but we didn't anticipate a complete shutdown by the state because we didn't really have, the rash of cases that we saw on the mainland. So we immediately went into panic mode, because part of our success, well, all of our success, we've based on face-to-face contact. And, our current location, we've been here for 21 years, and that's where our customers came to purchase from us. That's where we, made all our revenue off of. So it was scary and we didn't know what to do. There were tears, there were, screams, panic, hugs.
I think that at the time, sorry to interrupt, but I think at the time, everybody thought it would just be for a few weeks, right? I mean, Tina, what were you hearing from your clients right about that time? I know you and I were having conversations about that time. I recall interviewing you on a day when the camera store right behind you was basically one day from shutting down. What was going on with your clients? What were the questions they were asking you when this was going on?
They were asking, how long is this shutdown going to be? I mean, when anybody does a budget, Ryan Sugihira from TNC Surf came and talked to our group and he says, you never budget for a total shutdown, especially for 2 months, maybe, reduce revenue or whatever. So a lot of our businesses, they're not ready for that. They weren't ready to see how long it was going to be. I think in the beginning, everybody thought, it's going to be like all these other things, maybe 1 or 2 months, and then, we're going to get back to normal, kind of like how we saw with some of these other downturns that we've seen in the economy. But when we saw it was worldwide, we knew it was going to be a lot longer. Then it went to 6 months and they were saying, it's a year. Now we're looking at, it's probably 2 years before this whole thing is over with, and when everyone's vaccinated.
Pamela Tumpak from Maui, was it different on Maui, or was it pretty much the same thing? Because, different counties were doing different things. What was happening on Maui at that time?
Well, we learned a lot during this time because we knew we were very dependent on the visitor industry, and we used to say the trickle-down effect was about 75%. Today, we say it's about 90%. We were the most dependent island. We went from the lowest unemployment in the nation to the highest. We, in the early days, became counselors. Businesses who had invested in their business coming off a great 2019 suddenly saw the shutdown. Inventory was sitting in retail stores. They were surprised to be shut down. They didn't know how they were going to make it. We had people going from just being totally distraught, especially as the weeks, just early on in March, knowing they were missing their biggest market, to April, then May, and so it was a very tough time. We had people angry, distraught, and particularly also very angry because of what happened with the unemployment insurance division when their employees weren't getting paid. And that was a struggle because their employees were calling their employers, they're like family. We forget that we are really a village of small businesses, and our employees are like our family. So everybody was rallying together. And as we started to, round June, we started looking at, okay, some reopening is possible. It was then a question of, what are the increased costs they're going to face to keep their place healthy and safe. They keep saying, why doesn't government understand that we really need to be reopened during this time? The World Health Organization and the International Monetary Fund very early on indicated you have to deal with the economic crisis and health crisis in tandem. And so people were very frustrated not seeing that, feeling they could do more. And I think in Maui, we were seeing, and our mayor was very receptive to this, industry driving how they could reopen safely. They were telling government, here's what we can do, help us reopen. And Mayor Victorino was very supportive to doing what he can to do that, and to working with our chamber before any federal assistance rolled out. We put a micro business loan program
Pamela,
in place.
I'm going to stop you for a second because I want to give
Sure.
Greg a chance to weigh in on this. I want to go back through some of the coping mechanisms you folks used in a moment, so I will want to hear about that. That sounds very interesting. Greg, for the restaurant industry, it seemed that, yes, it was a shock, but also, did you folks kind of get a feeling like you guys would be the hardest hit because of the sensitivity and the safety issues around serving food and so on?
Yeah, we knew, just because people take very seriously what they put in their mouth, don't they? And so we know that it's a much bigger deal. We deal with it every day. We deal with food safety. We deal with audits and inspections that tell us how we're doing and what we should do on a daily basis. But I was thinking back in the very beginning, we were told it'd be 2 weeks, right, to measure the curve and get it all under. So I think there was a lot of owners and operators who kind of said, okay, you know what, we'll do this for the good of the people. But you have to understand that those restaurant owners and operators were sitting on perishable, unlike many of the businesses, they're sitting on perishable goods, and they are going bad fast. But everybody kind of figured it out. But it turned 2 weeks into 3 and months and what have you. And as soon as that happened, I remember the feeling in my stomach of just complete dread, thinking about what was going to happen. We immediately made phone calls and got in front of the governor himself on a Saturday to talk about what we can do to get these restaurants back open. I don't think many understood at the time just how big of a target the restaurants would become. We all knew it would be important, but for some reason, and one day I'm going to write a book on it, is why in the world did restaurants become this target, not just in Hawaii, but everywhere?
Debbie, as I talked to many retailers about this, you have a boutique. You probably within the first few days, nobody knew exactly how this virus was transmitted, right? We forget how much misinformation and confusing science was out there. Wear masks, don't wear masks. It's airborne. Oh, it's surfaces. Remember? So how did you? And then where's the PPP? So as a retailer, were you like, I think I can make my business very safe, but nobody is listening to me, and I can't get the stuff I need? Was that what it was like?
Right, definitely. I mean, I think, everyone scrambled. I was even on the sewing machine trying to sew masks in anticipation that we could possibly open and start selling things. And I think people forgot, like, as a small business, you're so used to being self-reliant. And with the mandates and restrictions, it took away that freedom to kind of control how we brought in our revenue. And, that was something that any business person really didn't have, that complete shutdown. And so to cope with that and to find ways around that, that was a big challenge.
So when were you able to start, how long was the period before you were able to start selling again, having people back in your store? How many weeks was it, months?
I feel like it was May 15th, so about almost, 8 weeks before we were able to open again. As soon as we found out, and then again, as I recall, that date was floating, because I think it was maybe May 1st or maybe May 15th. Oh, maybe May 31st. So we were kind of just like shooting to get the store, super clean, get our COVID policies in place, make sure our team was trained before the next pop-up date was coming. And I think it ended up being May 15th.
Hey, Tina Yamaki with the retail merchants, how much of a problem was the sliding dates and the mixed messages that were coming out? Josh Green would say something, then that wouldn't happen, or it would happen, and we had a lot of conflict in government. How did that affect your folks' clients?
They were very frustrated and angry. It's like, why isn't government getting together and getting their story straight? We're all here trying to survive and trying to get, our stuff together so we could open again, and I think for a lot of them, it was like, okay, you're going to give us the date of May 15th. You're going to announce it on the morning of the 14th, but you're not going to give us what the order says until 6 o'clock the night before. And so my guys are all scrambling to try and open on the 15th because we don't know what's in the order. I mean, what is at the press conferences doesn't necessarily is what is in the order itself. It could be more, it could, the interpretation. So there was a lot of scrambling. My phone kept ringing, till all hours of the night. I have some of my members, their parent companies are on the East Coast. So like 2 o'clock in the morning, you'd be getting calls. And we were there. We were trying to figure it out. We were trying to call the governor and the mayor's office and, trying to get some answers for everybody. But it was frustrating for a lot of us.
Let me ask Greg, as a restaurant operator, just the other day, we went through, and please don't even ask me about the press conferences, but we went through a thing where we knew something was going to happen, that there was going to be another reopening coming. I think it was when Mayor Blangiardi was saying, I don't want to go back to Tier 2. And then everybody was saying, well, we probably won't go back to Tier 2, but the law said we had to go back to Tier 2. You're a restaurant operator, your restaurant operators, they got to buy food, right? If they're going to open up, they got to. So what was that like? How did they even manage that? Did they tend to just go, I'm going to wait until I know? Or did they sometimes take risks and get their food and then throw it away?
Now that we've been open a while, it was a little bit easier because the thought was going back to Tier 2. So it would have been a little bit easier as far as the supply chain. But going back to that May 15th and that May 31st scenario, it was just crazy because you're not only starting up a restaurant, you're starting up the whole supply chain. So you've got to get food from somewhere. You've got to get the food in a distribution channel that's going to give it to you. And not knowing what's going to happen in the order, like Tina said, was very frustrating. We were living by the phone. And I will say this, in the beginning, I just felt like I felt like the governor was listening to us. He was doing a good job listening, because we got several meetings face to face. We were in contact, but there was zero communication with the city. The city was, in my opinion, making its own decisions away from anybody in the industry. And it really was frustrating because we couldn't get our voice heard. Over time, I think those voices started to come together, and now more than ever, we all have a seat at the table, because I think governments realize we've got to have these voices here, because maybe they don't know what they're doing, when it comes to this, and we need to have this input. But in the beginning, holy cow, restaurant owners, some of them would just say, well, if we open on May 15th, that means May 20th, I'll get my food and reopen.
Pamela Tupac, when you've got this kind of ambiguity, did you see people just saying, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to walk away. And when the pandemic's over, then I'll come back. And I'm also curious of what kind of supports were people able to get quickly enough to just hang on?
No, it was really tough. And when we start talking about May and June, part of the challenge was that even when people were looking to reopen, we really didn't have the traffic back. We've built so much of our restaurant industry around the visitor industry. So we saw a lot of people pivoting, doing evening meals or trying to let you stop by and pick a lot of things up. They social distance, but a lot of people were also struggling to get employees back. Employees were also afraid to come back at that time. So, they were really struggling. One of the things that Mayor Victorino asked us to do is he called and said, what can we do together right now before the federal money comes out? So in 9 days, we ramped up a micro business loan program and started delivering loans, $12,500 up to $25,000, depending on the size of the business and their ability to repay, which at this point was insane. Nobody knew what their ability to repay, but it was a 0% interest loan for 5 to 7 years, depending on the amount borrowed. And it helped a lot of our small retail particularly, but a lot of small businesses across Maui County survive until broader things came forward with the federal government.
Let me ask, is that a county program? The county did that for you, or where was the money coming from?
Initially, it was county funded. We did not wait for the federal funding to come in. The county found the money. Mayor Victorino found it and partnered with us to ramp it up very quickly. We knew small businesses would be hit hardest from what we saw at the Great Recession. There wasn't programs for them back then. I mean, thank God this time, but of course we were in much more extraordinary circumstances. But this time we saw federal aid and it was helpful, but in the meantime, the county stepped up first.
So Debbie Hopkins, you've got three names and I keep forgetting the third one. Oh, Chick Hopkins. I apologize for that. But so what was your experience? Did you get a PPP loan or did you get federal support? Were you able to do that? What was that like?
Oh, that was torturous. I mean, I think as soon as we heard about it, we started applying because how else were we going to pay our rent? Thousands and thousands of dollars were just racking up as we sat. And, we were online and we would get kicked off and online again, get kicked off, maybe halfway through the application and then get kicked off again. And then we'd start the next day. And it was just a matter of filling out the old application, finding out that, oh, now we got to fill out a different application. But at the end of the day, I think, being in business for 25 years definitely helped in that, our banker was willing to walk down our PPP loan. They didn't know what was going on either. And I think, business is about relationships, and we were fortunate to have that. And as far as the federal, we just kept on trying. It was frustrating. We were, on the phone waiting for 2 hours with no answer. And so we weren't sure. It was definitely panic mode.
And then, you did ultimately get something. And what did you use that money for?
Yeah, we used the PPP for all of our payroll. I mean, that was what we used it for. We did end up having to lay off, after that 2 weeks. And then we were like, okay, now how are we going to get everybody back on board? And so, with the PPP money, we're a small boutique, and so it's not like we have tons of PPP coming in, but it was just enough to help us, start training a little bit earlier before we open and started seeing revenue. We have to really be thankful for the overwhelming local support, which, people were trying to shop with us on our website, on Instagram, throughout. And then on the first couple days, people just came to say, we want you to stay in business. And so, that kind of helped.
Tina Yamaki with the retail merchants, do you think that what proportion of your clientele, of your membership, do you think ended up getting the federal support during the first couple rounds of help?
I know in the first round, the majority of our members applied for PPP loans. But we got to understand too, that was not just the small businesses, but the larger local businesses as well. And then when the second round came about, their first round of PPP loans still was a loan. It didn't turn into a grant yet for some of them. So they were scared to go and have even more debt because, like Debbie said, rent is the largest single item for any business. And, now they're having hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars in back rent, and they just can't take on any more loans. So what we saw is people were selling their homes. They pulled their kids out of private school. They used up the kids' college tuition. I mean, they were doing everything they could just to stay in business and keep their employees employed. And we also have to remember, the counties, I think, did a great job with helping the smaller business, especially those who made $5 million or less. But that didn't help a lot of the local medium and larger sized businesses. And we've been telling the government and everybody else, you got to start thinking about medium and large businesses. And then, when Love's Bakery closed, it was like, kind of, I told you so. This is just the first beginning of it. You may be seeing even more people or more larger businesses that are local falling. And it's not just local businesses. It's the national retailers too who have closed up during this time. And everybody's, going, well, buy local, buy local. But what people don't realize is these large mainland companies, they employ our friends, our families, our neighbors. So there's all local people working in there. And then they also have a lot of vendors that are local. So when they close down, it's not only more unemployment, but a lot of the local vendors can't sell their stuff anymore.
Greg, from the restaurant point of view, the other folks are mentioning how rent was their number one cost, but is that different for restaurants? And because of all the inventory you need, the food inventory and so on. And also, how was the PPP for restaurants? Did it work out? Because restaurants are a different kind of business than retail.
Yeah, I think so just so you know, the PPP was very frustrating for a lot of people, especially the mom and pops, because a lot of them haven't had to fill those kinds of things out before. Some of them have been in business for years. It was very frustrating. And so what we did as an HRA, recognizing that, is we set up opportunity for people who wanted to apply to come to us, and we actually had interpreters. We used all the different languages from the Polynesian Cultural Center and other places, so that way any language on the island could come and have somebody interpret for them and help them apply. So we feel like we had a good amount. There was still a lot of people who didn't get it. Some had to get the idle money, and so I think we did a pretty good job with that. But again, rent is the number one. I mean, you've got restaurants in Waikiki paying $35,000 a month in rent. You got to sell an awful lot of hamburgers and French fries to pay that rent. And I believe the rent survey that just went out still to this day says that only 40% of the restaurants in the islands, all islands, missed a payment the last 2 months. And and that's been that case for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So it's something, and that's a hole that just keeps getting deeper.
Yeah.
When you
Hey, I've got a number of questions now coming in from viewers. A couple of them involved with the change in tourism. What I'd like to ask all of you guys, and I don't know if we could do this, do you guys all agree that essentially shutting down tourism was a good thing to do, regardless of how it ended up, or was, do you think we needed to shut down tourism in order to survive this thing? Even looking back with 2020 vision, I think everybody kind of supported it at first, but now the length of time, how do you guys feel about it now? Pamela, do you feel like we were too severe in cutting back tourism?
Well, a lot of us have been involved in so many different forums and things. And what I've always felt is we could have come together more. There were some great plans very early on. It took us a little while to implement some of that. We've also seen, our counties are very unique across the state. And so our different mayors struggled, to come together. The tourism industry wanted one statewide plan. And from a chamber's perspective, we get a lot of visitor calls. So it was all across the board. People, if they were going to go to Oahu and then come to Maui, how did the rules change? We were updating them every couple of days. So I feel like we've learned a lot. I think moving forward, we will be far better at this. We didn't have state plans for any kind of contingency on this. So in the beginning, industry was informing government on how we could do things more safely, but they had plans. And their national association was coming down with things that would help. Looking back, I think we could have streamlined things and gotten together better. I think we did need to be very careful at first while we were learning. We, as you pointed out earlier, we didn't know how severe this was going to be in the beginning. So everybody was sort of on board in the beginning. Okay, this is the right thing to do. We're still very scared and we want to see what happens. But over time, they felt there was more ways for businesses to open up and that they could do so safely. It's a mixed bag, to be honest.
Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in on that question? If not, I got a couple more here. Okay. So many residents are wary of returning to 10 million tourists per year. They want change. How are businesses preparing for that? And another question, based on what the governor said today, I didn't hear him say anything today, how do you feel about only high-end tourists coming in? There's this talk about changing the mix, making higher-end tourists. To this day, I can't figure out how they're going to do that. But Greg, how do you think the restaurant industry is going to be able to adjust to having fewer tourists, if indeed that is what happens?
Well, I think first of all, you have to remember we had so many restaurants closed, so the availability of seats to eat in, first of all, were cut by 50% because when you social distance, like in our restaurant, even though we're back to full capacity, I'm still at 50% capacity because I've got to have social distancing. So there's kind of this funnel. We have all these people that are coming to the island, but we have very few even retailers and restaurants that are open. And so you see long lines, you see lots of wait times and what have you. And I don't think anybody would say we need to get back to 10 million visitors. I think we know that we can do a good job with the economy with less. The problem is that we needed a pandemic to get us to the point where we could live off of 8 million, because there was no way it was going to sustain itself if we tried to cut it back any other way. And the other thing I want to point out is all during the pandemic, we heard about let's diversify. So here we are as business people, we're stuck with the Bill 40, we're stuck with all these other bills that are supposed to help with our sustainability, but not one new thing has happened. We're right back where we were with the economy and what's holding it up. And so when people say to me, oh, we can never go back to 10 million, I say, really? Well, what's your plan? Because nobody during this time came up with a plan.
Yeah, Bill 40 is the mandate on plastics, right?
Right, that's right, which is just going to cause more, in typical Hawaii, where we mandate certain things in the spirit of something that's not attainable, and the businesses pay for it, and we're taxed and we're mandated to the point where it's almost impossible to do business. When in fact the people, and I know there's a lot of sustainability, there's a lot of people that want to lower tourism, but nothing. We had 10 months or a year. We had a year to come up with some solid plans. Some of us weren't doing anything, right? We were locked up in our homes. And still today, we don't have any of those usable plans. And I'm not just talking about fruitless legislation that's out there. I'm talking about real plans. There's just nothing. So to say that we can't have tourism is really naive, but it doesn't need to be 10 million.
Debbie Ochik Hopkins, your business is in Kailua, which has, in the 25 years you've been doing business, Kailua has just turned into this tourist mecca. It's like Lahaina. How are things changing now that tourists are coming back? Are you seeing them coming back strongly? I know that we had a big rush at Easter, and now we're kind of dialing back. How are people that you work with, you work next to, the other retailers, the employees in Kailua, how do they feel about seeing the surge coming back?
I think it's mixed. And, being a small business owner, we've been able to be on the sales floor and listen to people. And being residents of Kailua, we listen to our friends and neighbors, and it's definitely a mixed bag. I had a friend come in and say, I'm here to support you, but I hate all this traffic, and I know you need tourists to help survive, but I really hate waiting, 15 minutes to get out of Lanikai. So there's such a mixed thing. And then, being in a unique situation where we're, women-owned Native Hawaiian business with military ties, we have that unique perspective. And, there's a lot of people saying that there's not enough people respecting the culture that are coming in. So that's another hot topic, as well as, the military, they've gotten a paycheck this whole time, and then now their family is coming to visit them. So it's such a mixed bag. I think people, kind of what Greg is saying, there's a plan. I think people want to do the right thing. Businesses want, to support sustainability. They want to support, healthy neighborhoods. They want to support our environment, our beaches, but there's got to be some sort of a plan versus just like cut everything off.
Pamela Tumpak from the Maui Chamber of Commerce, this question was specifically to you, but in a way it does affect everybody. The state today said there are 21 cluster investigations on Maui. I saw that report. A large number of them were visitor related. That was a significant change. How concerned are you the mayor will want to implement more restrictions? And for all of you, Pamela, I'll ask you to answer that first, but for all of you, are we in a different place now? Do you really feel that restrictions are even necessary anymore? Pamela, I'll start with you because of the concerns about Maui.
Well, we're still working off of the matrix and the model that was created very early on. And so, yes, we are seeing clusters go up on Maui. And so Mayor Victorino has implemented they're working on it, implementing a second test again, so that there would be a rapid test at the airport. And we're trying to identify, as we've also seen many clusters throughout our community. And most recently, there was a church that was noted and some other things going on. So we are looking at that. We are very concerned about going backwards because businesses just, we always say what a difference March makes. March was phenomenal, and businesses were just starting to chipping away at some of that back debt, still operating at reduced capacity. And, we are trying to continually remind not only our community, but our visitors that we have to, help us. We're trying to educate them. People who are coming in, they care about Maui. We've seen a great interest in coming back to Maui and have had our counts pick up greatly. But some are coming in still not wanting to wear masks because they don't have to in their state. So we're really looking at the education process, and our mayor is looking at the overall capacity, not just the counts, but how many are then going into the hospitals, how many beds are being used, how many ventilators are being used. He's being very cautious, but we all recognize that we can roll back if the counts continue to go up, because there is a system in place where we look at that. And we're also seeing that right now, even some of our restaurants and our retailers are saying, we don't want to, even if we had more people coming, right now we're stressed because we don't have enough employees coming back to reopen more.
Yeah, I'm going to get into that a little bit shortly, but I want to have Tina weigh in a little bit. Mayor Belangiardi is making a point of saying that, hold on, we've got Almost all of our vulnerable population has been vaccinated. We've got very low hospital beds, yet we have this tier system that, is legally going to force us back. Tina, do you think that at this point the business community is ready to operate safely, kind of regardless of the counts? Like I heard the other day that 100 is the new 30, right? We can tolerate 100 cases a day because everything has changed. What do you think of that? And do you feel like there is any justification for rolling back restrictions anymore?
We've always said that when clusters happen, we need to look at where they're happening. If it's in the jails, or the prison system, why are you closing down our businesses? If it's done because of family parties or funerals or where these other clusters are, why are you closing down restaurants or, penalizing the businesses for this? Since the beginning, like Debbie has mentioned, we've been doing the social distancing, mandatory mask wearing, the plastic between you and the cashier, the constant cleaning, the hand sanitizers when you walk into the door. So it's very safe, not only for our visitors or for our guests and customers coming in, but for our employees as well. And as far as I know, there has not been a cluster associated with a retailer. Yes, we've had employees who had COVID, but we shut down those stores, and they've cleaned and made sure that it was safe when you open up. The other thing I want to bring out is with the tier system. When we went from a tier 2 to a tier 3, for a lot of retailers, it didn't make a big difference because you're not gonna, even with 100% capacity, you're not gonna be standing shoulder to shoulder like it was at Black Friday 2 Christmases ago. You still gotta social distance, you still gotta do all of these things. So you don't have, you're still about 50% capacity in these stores. And what we're saying is if you are gonna roll it back, don't penalize everybody. Look at where the clusters are happening and address that. Don't penalize everybody for somebody else's mistakes or, for what they're doing.
Greg, I see you vigorously nodding.
Yes, so the tier system was great when we first rolled it out. It's antiquated now. The metrics and what we're looking at today is completely different than when we came out with the tier system. Today, Oahu hit 1 million vaccinations out of 1.4 million people. I mean, that alone tells the story, right? So that vaccination, our protocols tell us that people can get COVID without having to go to the hospital. And that's what we've been trying to push. But this is what happens when government is too involved. That tier system is just not changing along with all the other things that we have that have changed. And I really push back when anybody talks about going backwards or locking down. Those are not options. Those are not options. We don't have those options anymore. To even consider that we would lock down, it doesn't make any sense to me, because to lock down means we're in big trouble for these businesses. We could never make it through another lockdown. So for me, it's not even about that. It's not about going back a tier system. It's about putting something in place that's for longevity, because we can't live with the tier system the rest of our lives. And the whole idea was get vaccinated, teach people the correct principles, and then open it up and let us govern ourselves. We've got to get there soon. I've heard LG say it a couple of times, June and July. Governor said it to me the other day when he was out here at the Polynesian Cultural Center. Same thing, June or July, we hit herd immunity. But to even consider going back into tier system makes zero sense.
So I'm getting a number of questions from people who are appropriately forward-looking. I realize we've got about 20 minutes left, and I got a lot of questions. So let me go through some of these. I think this one's appropriate to you, Greg, first of all, because I have heard that, it is hard to attract some employees back, and we're hearing that the restaurants in particular are having more of a problem, say, than the retailers. And this question goes to that. How do the panelists feel about calling back employees to work, knowing that they cannot provide the same hours and pay to justify? When you've had an employee who's been on unemployment, regardless of how generous it is, but if you can't offer them what they were making before because you don't have the hours open or the capacity or the people coming in, I mean, how do you lure a person back under those circumstances, Greg? I mean, is that a big issue, holding back hiring for the restaurant industry, for example?
So clearly we have staffing issues, and a lot of it's because people don't want to come back to work, and partly because it's a very rich plan. The government's flooding everybody's pockets with money. I have a guy who works for me. He's got 6 kids. He just got $10,000, and and he's getting the plus up, which has been extended to September. I think they said now. Yeah, I mean, which is crazy. I just had this conversation with Senator Hirono. I mean, literally, we just talked about this, and that the government's got to back out because it is so hard. Now, what do? It's so tough for a business owner. I need somebody to come back. You're my employee. You're on furlough, but I know that what I'm bringing you back to is going to be less than that. That's a tough spot to put us in. The employee needs to understand that it wasn't the restaurant who put us in that position. That it was the pandemic and it was the government's decisions on all of the money and all those things. We're grateful that they're there because we want our employees to be taken care of, especially when we were all when we were shut down. But those are tough decisions, and every owner operator makes different decisions. In our case, in our restaurant, we've had to take all of our jobs and up the pay just to entice people to even apply. We're doing bonuses where if you refer somebody, you get a $250 cash bonus just for referring somebody. So we do have staffing issues. And for those who are on furlough and are getting the money and can't go back and don't want to go back to work, we get it. We understand that this is a tough choice. But look, the unemployment was only meant to be temporary. This is not a lifestyle. So get used to it. You got to go back to work. And so those are tough.
Yeah, when we did stories about this, one of the things that I did hear when we asked that question is like, is it possible this is too generous? And I know that to someone who has been out of work for a while and needs the money, that doesn't sound like a fair question, but is it too generous? The answer I got back was, well, but they know it's temporary and I'm offering them a permanent job. But Pamela, do you guys have the same problem on Maui? I know Maui has had a lot of trouble getting people back. Is it the unemployment, or are people afraid to come back to work?
I think it's a mix of both, but to be honest, it seems that it is more about the money at this point. We have a lot of professional employer organizations who also help support a lot of small businesses, and we're looking for somebody right now. And I agree. I would say people are wanting to make more to come back to work right now, so they're asking for more money. A lot of the PEOs, they don't even have anybody to give businesses. Their resources are drained. They're finding the same thing.
I'm sorry. What's a PEO? What is that?
It's a professional employer organization. So there are many professional employer organizations who help small businesses do payroll, find employees, put them on. It's considered a co-employer relationship. But usually if you're looking for somebody to fill an opening, you can reach out to the PEOs and they'll have ready people for you. Oh. They have zero right now. And businesses are reporting that they're struggling to get people back.
Well, yes, Debbie, what's been your experience in getting people to come back for you?
I think we're in a different situation because we're so small. So we've kind of created that company culture and more of that ohana feeling. So we were fortunate that our team members wanted to come back because they genuinely wanted to help us survive the pandemic, and they were willing to really, they worked as hard as we did. And I think that's an advantage that we had. And I think a lot of people that work in our industry at a retail boutique, they come in as maybe their first job, maybe second job, or, so where, restaurant has a little bit more opportunity to kind of grow, entry level at retail. So we get the younger, and they don't necessarily have to depend on their salary or their hourly to survive. And so it kind of creates that culture of family. And I think that's what makes, a neighborhood boutique. That's why people are coming in to shop, because they want that connection.
Tina Yamaki with the retailers, what other kind of reasons are people giving for not coming back to work? Are you guys having the same level of problem and in terms of getting employees back? your
You know,
clients?
for my members, what we're hearing is, certain companies, they have no problem getting employees because that's where people want to work. Or like where Debbie said, it's that family culture, type of thing. They want to work there. Their friends work there. They don't want to be FOMO. So, it's like, that's where I want to work. And we're also seeing like for specialized jobs and stuff, we had a couple of people who had an opening and, prior to the pandemic, they were lucky if they got one or two applicants. They got like 50 to 100, people applying for these jobs. What we're also seeing too now, we keep getting reminded.
Tina, what kind of job are you talking about there? Could you be a little more specific?
Like a specialized job, like, if you're a CFO or, you need a CPA or, you need, it's not just running a register or helping somebody. It's, you're working in the office and it kind of thing. Something that's a little more specialized, like a buyer. Were able to find people, or they had a lot of people who were applying for those type of jobs. But then, we're also being told a lot of times and kept being reminded by the Department of Labor that, if somebody turns you down, you need to let us know because, they're not supposed to do that. Then they get cut off of unemployment. So, it's do or you don't. The other thing we're seeing is a lot of people who have been home now with their children, with their family, it's like, I want to go back to work. This is like vacation for us, so
Yeah.
we've heard a lot of that too.
Again, looking forward now, a couple of questions. Greg, this is one that's kind of for you, but how are eating out habits changing? Do you think takeout, curbside pickup, or delivery will be higher even when we are post-pandemic? I guess that's the kind of question is also about, will it ever be back to the way it was in terms of the restaurant food business? What do you think about that?
I don't think it'll ever be back to the way it was. We have a new channel of sales and a revenue stream that we probably knew was there, but some took really great advantage of it, others didn't. And at one point, if you remember, the restaurants only had the opportunity to do takeout, and so everybody had to pivot and do what they needed to do. I think that's here to stay. I know that some people, getting takeout in the past wasn't really something you did. It wasn't very fun. Going out, you'd go to the movies, you'd go get something to, but now my wife and I, we love getting takeout and watching Netflix. You know what I mean? Oh, that's a big problem. But I think we've changed forever. I don't think it'll ever be that way. But what I love about that is that gives us another channel of revenue that we can work on, where before we had one indoor, where the seating. Now we have these other channels that we can now explore and even build our business bigger than it was in the past. So I think it's opened up some big opportunities for us.
Pamela, with the restaurants that you work with on Maui, so dependent on tourism for so long, not that big a local market, not like Honolulu. Do you see, though, that being sort of a saving grace out of this, how the business pivots a little bit?
Yeah, we've seen pretty much all of our businesses need to pivot in different ways, and they've created new partnerships, and they started speaking to their customers more and finding out what the customers need. And it's getting interesting, but you're right. I think the culture has changed, and also right now we're at a crazy time where to get a reservation on Maui, you're really booking 2 weeks out because of the visitors we do have coming back. So even as locals, if we want to go to that restaurant, I recently heard the non-guaranteed wait list, which means we've got 8 people ahead of you. We're closing in 30 minutes, but you could wait. But it's now the non-guaranteed wait list. So we're finding, it's a whole new culture, and we're having to make reservations earlier if we want to dine in. Many of our guests are not being able to get into restaurants if they waited till their trip. But we can get great food, and you can take it back to your hotel, you can take it back home, and it's gourmet, and it still feels super special. So
Greg, you wanted to pitch in on that?
Just, when you talked about things changing, so we have 6 children. We go to visit them on the mainland. My daughter says, "Dad, will you take me to Target?" So I get in the car, I take her to Target. She says, "Oh, park over here, Dad." I said, "Well, are we going to go in?" She goes, "No, just pop the trunk."
Yeah.
She says, they're delivering it. And I'm like blown away, like, 'cause I'm the old guy. And Now, why would I get out of Best Buy? I just order it, go and have it delivered. I mean, that opened up a whole new world, right? We shop differently in almost every category. Restaurants are no different, but I've got to tell you, I love to go to Home Depot and have somebody load my stuff for me.
Yeah. Tina, you were waving at me. What you wanted to pitch in there?
Yeah, I think even for retailers, we've had to pivot a lot too, and a lot of them was online. It was so sad though, because the second shutdown, we weren't able to do it online, so a lot of businesses suffered. But people who had 20% of their revenue coming from online and 80% in store prior to pandemic, they are now seeing, about kind of different now. It's like maybe 40% to 50% is online and in store. They're still seeing that. People still like to still go to the stores, touch and feel, but everyone has pivoted too. Even some of the shopping malls, you can get married in the shopping mall now. You can go get a doctor's test. You can when you go to pick up your prescription, or when you go pick up makeup. Prior to COVID, we're seeing you can get your hair done, or you get a facial and do all of this other kind of stuff that's in store. And we are partnering with non-traditional people too. It's like I think there was a bakery and a store that partnered up, and what we found out too is prior to pandemic, 365 days out of the year, they were competitors. Let's face it, everyone was looking for that dollar. But when COVID hit, it was so funny because even in our board meetings, we would all kind of talk about it, and they would share, hey, this is what's happening. How did you fix this? Can we come together? So it brought a lot of businesses together. And at least once a week, I am in a shopping mall somewhere on the island, and I walk through there. Half the people don't know. They just think I'm the crazy lady who likes to shop, and that's fine. But I talk to everybody from the managers on down to the cashiers, and to find out and get a pulse of what is going on, what is happening, who's shopping, are they spending money, what are they spending it on, and what are some of the difficulties that they're still having.
Let
A
me
lot
ask
of it, like I said, it's hard.
Debbie Uchik Hopkins, as a sort of traditional boutique retailer, isn't there sort of a sense of fear that everyone has learned? I know many people, I'm not going to name names, who have never shopped online until now. And what Greg was describing, the idea that you wouldn't even leave your car to go shopping, doesn't that give you a little bit of like, I don't really care for this? What do you think about that?
Definitely it does. I mean, when my husband's 80-year-old uncle is ordering car parts on Amazon, it's a game changer for sure. And we did pivot, and we've always had a website just kind of floating there, and we relied on that throughout the pandemic. And I think the difficult part is for us as a small boutique, we've always gravitated towards small vendors, and those small vendors either decided to stay in business, or now their business skyrocketed. They're able to sell off of Instagram or their Etsy site. And so that's more of how it's kind of affecting us in that way. And so trying to be more unique and whatnot. So instead of supporting other brands, we're having to go back to our roots, and we're sewing our dresses again, we're designing our jewelry, we're kind of having to focus on us rather than that whole global village concept that we originally started with.
Interesting. Pamela, you wanted to say something about this?
Well, I appreciated too everybody talking about how they pivoted. And every year in Maui, we have the annual Made in Maui County Festival, which usually attracts 10,000 people. And of course, this year that wasn't going to happen. But what we started to realize is, as we were moving more online, and people don't shop the same way online as they do in person at the local festival, for sure. But we realized it's also a wholesale buyer show. So we could now market the festival internationally online and encourage people to participate and view vendor booths and interact with vendors from all across the globe. And so we started thinking of new ways to do that, and came up with sort of the work with the visitor industry and this Million Followers pledge. And we reached over 1 million people that way. But we would have not necessarily ever gotten there without this focus. And so it is driving new innovation, and part of it is scary because it doesn't work the same way as we're used to. but many are moving online. Many saw brand new buyers from different regions than they never experienced before at the festival. So moving forward now, we're going to look at a hybrid.
Greg, I only have one last question for you. Just quickly, I'm being told quickly, I'm going to have to stop. I'm out of time. But I do appreciate all of you. I do that. You guys are all very articulate and have lots of stuff to say, so I'm not even going to try and get an answer in 20 seconds, but you guys did a great job. And to our audience, mahalo to all of you for joining us tonight. And we thank our guests, Tina Yamaki, Retail Merchants of Hawaii President, Pamela Tumpap, President of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, Board Chairman of the Hawaii Restaurant Association, Greg Maples, and Debbie Au Chick Hopkins, co-owner of Global Village. Next week on Insights, the plan is to tear down Aloha Stadium and build a new one, along with an entire entertainment district. But how will it be paid for? We'll try and find out next week. Please join us then. I'm Daryl Huff for Insights on PBS Hawaii. Aloha.